So we got a light battle for you guys today. So after 4 months of having this light and being able to use and test it effectively, I'm putting up the Amaran 100D against my current favorite light, the Aputure 120D Mark II. Which one of these you think I'm gonna recommend at the end of the video? Let me know in the comment section below. Will the Amaran be able to topple the Aputure? Will the budget-friendly be able to overcome the flagship? Let's find out.
Okay, I was gone for a minute, but I'm back now.
What's going on, everybody? It's your boy, MJ Media, and you ain't never had a friend like me. As I've already explained, we're going to be going over these two lights, but it is important that I note that Aputure didn't send me either of these lights to test and review. I already own both of these lights, and therefore Aputure does not get a say in how these lights are reviewed and my final decision. So with that being said, let's get into the review. Okay, so first up, we have build quality. Now, the Aputure 120D Mark II is an all-metal chassis. It's very heavy, it's very weighty, but this is a good thing because it's very sturdy. If you need something that's durable, if you're doing full-scale production and you need that extra protection and extra durability, you're gonna definitely get that with the 120D Mark II. On the other hand, the Amaran 100D is made of all plastic. It does feel like high quality plastic, but it is plastic nonetheless. So it is obviously less durable than the Aputure 120D Mark II. And for that reason, I'm gonna give the point to the Aputure 120D Mark II. However, the one thing to note about the Amaran is that it is lighter. It's definitely lighter, so it's more travel friendly in case you're doing, travel production, that kind of thing. Next up is size and portability. This is kind of an obvious one, but obviously the point would go to the Amaran 100D because if you look at them side by side, like that's at least 25% less than the Aputure 120D Mark II. Also, it is plastic and not metal, so it is lighter, but it'll definitely help out when you need to do, I guess, smaller productions in smaller spaces, and it definitely helps because you don't have to have a C-stand. With Aputure 120D Mark II, you definitely need a C-stand, especially if you want to put other things, other attachments onto the 120D Mark II, like the lantern dome, the light dome mini, or even the regular light dome. If you don't have a C-stand, this thing is going to topple over very quickly. You're going to need not only a C-stand, but sandbags as well. With the Amaran 100D, you could pretty much go with a regular light stand. Well, maybe not the cheap light stands, but maybe something like a GVM light stand, a high quality budget light stand, and you can pretty much get away with just using that with the Amaran 100D. So it saves you more money and it wouldn't have to take up as much space as a C-stand would. Okay, so next up we're going to be talking about how these lights can be transported back and forth. Both the Aputure 120D and the Amaran 100D both have these little top handles that's easy to transport back and forth. However, when I put my hand into the Aputure 120D, it goes in there, but it's snug. I can't fit my fingers all the way in there, and it just feels a little awkward. However, if I do it with the Amaran 100D, I can fit all of my fingers in there very securely, and I don't have to worry about it slipping out of my hand, falling, breaking, whatever, while I'm transporting it back and forth. So point for the top handle goes to the Amaran. However, when it comes to carrying bags, it's a completely different story. The Aputure 120D Mark II comes with a nice bag, a nice separate Aputure bag. Cotton, it's nice, it's lightweight. Everything that you need for the light can fit in that bag. The light, the battery, the cords. It even has extra pouches and extra zippers and sections that you could put other stuff in if you want. Now, with the Amaran 100D, the only carrying case that comes with it is the box that it was shipped in. And there's no third-party bag for the Amaran 100Ds that I could find. If you found some, be sure to let me know in the comment section below. But for right now, all it comes in is that box. It has basic hard styrofoam that they put the light fixture and the battery and things into. I mean, it's not terrible. You can get by with carrying it, but as far as professionalism goes, it doesn't look nearly as good as the Aputure 120D Mark II. And for that reason, I'm giving the point to the Aputure 120D Mark II. Okay, next up, we're going to be talking about fan noise. When you're recording video, you also are usually recording audio, and the last thing that you want is unexpected sound from your background or your equipment to be picking up on the mics. Both of these lights come with internal fans that serve to cool it down in case they were to start overheating. Like I said, the last thing you want to do is be able to pick up the sound from those fans in your lights going. I can't make a fan sound, but you know what I mean. So we're going to be talking about how quietly these fans are in these lights. Now, the Aputure 120D Mark II has a pretty silent fan. Its fan noise is docked at around negative 18 dBs, which means you're pretty much not going to hear it unless you're putting the mic really close to the light so you can hear the fan. Now, with the Amaran 100D being the little brother to the Aputure 120D Mark II, its fan noise is just as silent, if not, I think it's a little bit quieter than the Aputure 120D Mark II. You're not going to have any problems with these fans. Now, if you're looking to upgrade the Aputure 100D to the Aputure 200D, that's where you're going to get a lot more fan noise, as many people have been saying and complaining about, that there's a lot of fan noise in the 200D. But as far as the 100D is concerned, it is virtually silent. So I'm giving points to both the Amaran and the Aputure for having incredibly silent fans, which is the opposite of Cowboys fans. Okay, so next up, we're going to be talking about features and anything else that comes with the light. All right, so first of all, both of these lights come with Aputure signature effects that they've been including with all of their recent lights, including their Aputure MCs. Just, these aren't RGB. Now, the only difference is with the Aputure 120D Mark II, you can operate all that directly from the battery controller that is included with the light. Now, for the Amaran 100D, you have to go through the app. Now, I'm not going to say which one is better because for all intents and purposes, the app has worked perfectly for me. I can even connect that same app to the Aputure MCs and control those in case I want to do that, giving me a whole lighting production suite that I can control from my phone. However, personally, I do enjoy being able to control the effects from the power battery brick and not having to go through the phone. That way I don't even have to think about or worry about connectivity issues or anything like that. So for that, I might only give points to either one because they both provide something in certain different situations and scenarios that would be beneficial depending on what you're shooting. Both lights also have Aputure signature Bowens mounts, which also feature the locking and unlocking mechanism that helps you know that your mount is secure, that whatever fixture you put on the light is going to be secure until you decide to release it. Now, a key major difference between these two is that the Aputure 120D Mark II just comes with the light fixture and you can attach some Bowens mounts to it as well. So this is definitely geared towards more production-based individuals. Now, the Amaran 100D comes with a umbrella holder so that most people who are starting out, their lights usually come with umbrellas. That way, when you get this light, you can still use those umbrellas as diffusers, put it in this little socket right here, and now you have an umbrella diffusion that you can use with this higher quality light. Now, for me, the biggest differences between these lights are the power/battery and how these lights operate, like the operation of the lights. For example, with the Amaran 100D, you get a nice 130 watt power brick, almost looks like a laptop charger, pretty nice, pretty small. And with the Aputure 120D Mark II, you get this theft prevention kit. This thing is massive, but this is the battery that you use to operate the Aputure 120D Mark II. Now, the good thing about this battery is that everything is consolidated to this unit. You can work the entire FX, you can work all the settings, you can work the brightness, you have a display here so you can see how bright your light goes or how bright your light is at that moment, and the power button is on here as well. Now, in the back, they've included a section where you could put a V-mount battery on in case you wanted to do that and go wireless, and it even includes its own antenna. Now, for the Amaran 100D, I do like how they kind of consolidated everything to the unit, to the light unit itself, instead of the battery unit. So on this light unit itself, it has the on-off switch. You get a little display screen, which is a pretty basic display screen. It just shows you the brightness of the light at that time. If you want actual more information, you have to use the app. And it has this little button right here that doubles as a dial, so you can go individually percentage wise, or if you press it, it jumps 20%. So you can go from 20% brightness to 40% brightness, 60, and so on to 100. Now, for this one, it was kind of hard to give a point value to because it's all based on preferences and what you're going to be doing with the light. For example, if I wanted to use a light as my key light and in conjunction with RGB lights like the Aputure MCs, I would definitely give the point to the Amaran 100D. However, if I'm going to be using a cinematic key light and I'm going to be putting the light on a high fixture or something like that, where I don't need to stand on my tippy toes to try to see the intensity of the light because I have this battery remote, I would definitely choose the Aputure 120D Mark II. So I guess I'm going to give a point to both for, as I said before, being very good at what it does in its specific scenarios. Okay, so next up, we're going to be talking about light output. Now, as I was thinking about it, I could rattle off all these numbers of lumens and lux, but you don't want to hear that. What you want to do is you want to see the results firsthand. So let's do that right now. So this is the Amaran 100, and this is it at full power at 100%. And let's take it down to 50% so you can see how that looks. And finally, let's take it down to 10%. And that's how that's gonna look. Next, we have the Aputure 120D Mark II at 100%. And let's take it down to 50%. See how that looks. And finally, let's take it down to 10%. Now, personally, it seems to me that the Amaran 100D is brighter than the Aputure 120D, but it does also seem like the Aputure 120D Mark II has a more softer and cinematic kind of lighting on your subject. But that's not really what we're here for, so the score for brightness goes to Amaran with their 100D. But one thing you should know is that if you're getting the 100D or the 200D, those are going to be much brighter, of course. But if you're getting their bicolor counterpart, the 100X and the 200X, that's going to lose some light intensity because I guess it's trying to compensate for the bicolorness of the light. Bicolorness? Is that a word? Yeah, I don't know. Okay, lastly, we're gonna go over price. And this is gonna be real quick and real short because that obviously goes to the Amaran 100D that costs around $200, whereas the Aputure 120D Mark II is around $800. So what are my final thoughts? Would I recommend the Amaran 100D over the Aputure 120D Mark II? Well, not necessarily. It all depends on what you want to do. If you're looking for a great budget light that can do everything well, then the Amaran 100D is definitely right for you. If you are just starting out and you want to upgrade from your umbrella lights or something like that, the Amaran 100D is definitely for you. But if you are more of a professional, if you've been doing this for a while, if you want to go for more of that filmic look, that dramatic look with your lighting, then I definitely recommend the Aputure 120D Mark II, especially if you're doing like more production or bigger budget things. The Aputure 120D Mark II is what I would recommend for you. So depending on where you are on your camera journey, depends on which light I would recommend for you. Beginners, I definitely would recommend the Amaran 100D. You're going to get a lot of use of that as you grow your camera knowledge and your gear. But if you are already in that intermediate to professional range, I definitely recommend the Aputure 120D Mark II. You're going to get some great looks out of this, and it's just gonna make your footage look that much better. So there you guys have it. Which one of these do you think you're gonna go for? Let me know in the comment section below. And as always, guys, if you like this video, be sure to hit that like button. If you loved it, be sure to subscribe. And if you have any more questions, be sure to get at me. Peace.
Yeah, flex. I just wanna win. Yeah, LA BB, who we running with? Yeah, 2 2 3 3. I'm on 10 10 10. Yeah.